Hello, hello.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Jazakallah khair for making the time to join us on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. It is the long weekend, and Alhamdulillah, we've sacrificed this time to go through verses of the Quran through which, inshallah, we will be able to attain some guidance, benefit, and direction in life, especially within the circumstances that we are currently in. So, Alhamdulillah, for the last 3 weeks, we've been exploring various verses of Surah Al Anbiya. Last week, we had just begun the discussion on the story of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, going through his background, understanding the types of interactions he was having with his father and his community, and eventually going forward also with the ultimate authority of the land, that would be Namrud. And we had seen how Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was gauging the community and seeing how they can begin to rationalize the practices that they are adhering to. That if there is a belief system that has been adopted, if there is a practice that has been adopted, what is going to be the substance behind it? What is the basis? And we spoke about how for them it was basically emotional rather than something that had real substance to it, and the implications of basing a philosophy on emotion that was also elaborated on. So now, inshallah, we're just going to move forward from verse number 57 onwards, where Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam has now openly spoken about who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to the community, and defining Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with those traits that these gods that the community was submissive to clearly did not have. They did not have these traits. The traits of originating the sky and the earth, the traits of creating them from nothing, the traits of being a Rabb, which has multiple connotations to it, anywhere from being the nourisher, the sustainer, the upbringer, the one that's providing discipline, and so forth. Multiple connotations to it. Anyways, what happens is the conversation does not last that long. You're going to see elements of this conversation in other surahs as well, and we'll mildly touch on them as well. So what you find is Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, at the end of this discussion, he does utter the words that are recorded in verse number 57, which is, وَتَاللَّهِ لَأَكِيدَنَّ أَصْنَامَكُمْ بَعْدَ أَن تُوَلُّوا مُدْبِرِينَ. He's made it very clear that by Allah, Allah, that means by Allah, that's an oath that he's swearing, I am definitely going to plot against your idols. لَأَكِيدَنَّ أَصْنَامَكُمْ, I am going to plot against your idols بَعْدَ أَن تُوَلُّوا مُدْبِرِينَ, after you have turned your backs and gone away. Right? So once you guys depart from here and basically it's all clear, I'm going to do something. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, being this teenager at the time, because remember we spoke about this in the last session, that he at this time frame is a fatan. He's basically a teenager. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam felt that if these guys are only going to base whatever it is their belief system is, they're going to base it on emotion, then the only way they're going to understand, right, the fallacy of their beliefs is when they're hit by their emotions. All right, their emotions are hit, their emotions are struck. And so what Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam wanted to do was give them a demonstration, okay, a demonstration of how helpless and weak these images or these pieces of stone or these idols or these statues are. We wanted to demonstrate how weak they are and then get them to reconsider why they are ascribing divinity to these lifeless objects. Okay, so Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasallam wanted to give this demonstration. Okay, that was his motive, and you're going to see that as he goes forward, when it comes to the discussion that's going to ensue, he's going to set them up, and he's trying to set them up not for bad reasons. He's setting them up to resort to using intellect, resort to using the intelligence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, and such a big thing which is essential and integral to a person's life, which is belief. Okay, how can you steer that from having no substance to having some substance? How can you found it or find it on substance rather than nothing at all? So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam has gone ahead, and he is now going to make sure that this demonstration is successful. He goes ahead. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is only going to show us bits and bats of what's transpiring. You'll find, I believe it's in Surah Al-Safat. If you go to page, I should say, if you were to go to verse number 90 onwards, you're going to see that now, فَتَوَلَّوْا عَنْهُ مُدْبِرِينَ. Okay, the community has now gone away. Now, you're going to find in certain commentaries that there's going to be a big festival that these people are going to be participating in, and there basically is what's it called? Yeah, there's basically an allusion to this in verse number 89. Okay, when he is being asked, فَمَا ظَنُّكُمْ بِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ فَنَظَرَ نَظْرَةً فِي النُّجُومِ فَقَالَ إِنِّي سَقِيمٌ. So what you're going to find in some texts is that how the proposal to him to participate is made, and he's going to give the excuse that he's not feeling well. They're going to go, فَتَوَلَّوْا عَنْهُ مُدْبِرِينَ. Basically, the coast is clear. He's going to go ahead and launch his plan. And he's going to do it in a way where he himself is demonstrating to himself the weaknesses of these things that have been ascribed divinity to. So, فَرَاغَ إِلَىٰ آلِهَتِهِمْ فَقَالَ أَلَا تَأْكُلُونَ. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is now going to advance to their gods. And the first question that he's going to pose is أَلَا تَأْكُلُونَ, which is indicative of him giving some form of an offering. Or Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is looking at the offerings that are already there. And Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is asking, like, aren't you going to eat? These things have been presented to you. Why don't you benefit from it? Why don't you take advantage of it? But it's only sitting there, obviously. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is well aware of the reality, but this is a demo. It's a demonstration he wants to do. So he's now saying to them, أَلَا تَأْكُلُونَ, are you not going to eat? This is also, you can say a form of sarcasm that's also being aimed at them. But then he also asks, مَا لَكُمْ لَا تَنْطِقُونَ. What is wrong with you? You're not speaking. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is now engaging them, and he's not getting any response, obviously. But again, this is a demo that he wants to do. So he's now shown that they are in no position to benefit themselves, because if they were, they would have taken advantage of these offerings that are in front of them. And at the same time, they're in no position to give any benefit, because when we're engaging them, there's no response coming. Okay, so neither benefit to themselves or benefit to others. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, فَرَاغَ عَلَيْهِمْ ضَرْبًا بِالْيَمِينِ. He's now going to advance and strike them with his right hand. There are reports indicating that Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is going to use an axe to dismantle everything. Now, I'm sure this type of story we've come across many a times. There are children books about this, even some cartoon movies that have been made on this. So our focus is going to be on what we can derive from all of this entire event. It's not more about trying to identify play by play what was going on. It's more about what we can derive from all of this. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, now he's gone ahead, launched his plan. His plan has been executed, and now comes the aftermath. Okay, the aftermath is what we're going to learn from. Now, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam doing this, remember, for him, he felt this was necessary to demonstrate to the community that he is part of, that what he's telling them, what he's getting them to understand, needs some consideration. And now they're forced to give it consideration. Before, it was easy to dismiss Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, right? Because Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is the only individual in the entire race, in the entire human race at that time, that is acknowledging La ilaha illallah. There's no one else. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is the only person. Okay? So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam being that one single muwahid, being that one single monotheist, his words can easily be dismissed. So he needed to make a statement to get the attention that he's trying to acquire and get them to consider seriously rather than dismissing him, because that's what happened. After the first conversation, okay, which we had gone over, he was what? Dismissed. And he will continue to be dismissed. So therefore, a statement needs to be made, and he went and took the step. Now, I do want to emphasize that that was the context of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, being the one individual, okay, teenager. So there's a lot of things that are working against him. Okay, remember, he's young, so he can be dismissed. His views are unpopular, so he will be dismissed. Okay, so having that disadvantage, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is going to advance in this direction. However, when it comes to us, in the context that we live in, are we going to go ahead and take measures of this nature? Okay, where we are going to go into some temple and basically dismantle the idols and basically vandalize the place? No, we're not going to do that. Okay, because clearly, number one, that's against the law. Okay, and number two, it's uncalled for in our context, because there is if a person really wants to give attention to the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if a person really wants to consider the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the teachings of Islam, there is ample information out there. And it's not like we are in a disadvantage that no one is going to be able to hear us, or we will always be dismissed. No, there's enough of us, there's 1.7 billion of us in the world, and at the same time, there's ample information everywhere, whether it's going to be in digital format or it's going to be in written format, whether it's going to be in lecture format. There's so much information that's out there. So taking a step of this nature is going to be completely uncalled for in our context, and hence no one should even start considering that I'm going to now execute the same thing or do the same thing. Okay, so we're talking about the context of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, the agenda and the motive behind it. So what was the result of his plan? فَجَعَلَهُمْ جُذَاذًا. He has made them into pieces by striking them, dismantling them, completely demolishing them. فَجَعَلَهُمْ جُذَاذًا إِلَّا كَبِيرًا لَهُمْ, with the exception of their greatest one. Okay, the one that was the biggest, I'm sure it's going to be in terms of size, that this is the biggest idol that they have there. إِلَّا كَبِيرًا لَهُمْ. He's left that alone. لَعَلَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ يَرْجِعُونَ. And what was the motive there? Remember, he's setting them up, right? So لَعَلَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ يَرْجِعُونَ. Possibly they would turn to that particular God. Okay, لَعَلَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ يَرْجِعُونَ. So what has happened? Plan was, he went into the temple, smashed everything, smashed all the idols, all the gods. What the number was, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. But apparently they came in different sizes. The one that was the biggest, that has been spared by Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Why has it been spared? It has been spared so the community can engage this particular God if they wish to launch an investigation, which they will. Okay, they want to launch an investigation as to who is responsible, okay, for this vandalism, who's responsible for the desecration of our holy place. So if they really want benefit now, they need someone to give them direction. They need something that is now going to guide them as to what happened, what they should do, what course of action should be taken. This is the moment. This is where these gods come into play. This is where their help is going to be required. Here we go. Let the demonstration begin. Okay, so لَعَلَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ يَرْجِعُونَ قَالُوا مَنْ فَعَلَ هَذَا بِآلِهَتِنَا إِنَّهُ لَمِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. So now they've come across this, they've seen it, they're completely shocked. Completely shocked. Obviously, because there was an emotional attachment to this, not a rational attachment, there was an emotional attachment. So when their emotions have now been struck, then obviously they're going to respond with emotion. So definitely at this moment, they're very uneasy, they're completely shocked and bewildered as to what has just happened, and now the discussion has begun. They want to go ahead and investigate. First and foremost, man fa'ala hadha bi'alihatina. Because this speaks so much as to what is going on, right? He's saying that they said, who did this to our gods? Who did this to our gods? Man fa'ala hadha bi'alihatina. This in itself is indicative of their acknowledgement of how weak these gods are. Because if they're truly gods, the gods have got the ability now to ward off any harm that is being aimed at them. Because remember, superstition is being associated with these gods, right? That if you're going to do this, which is disrespectful, something may happen to you, might get zapped from the sky, okay? Or you might be inflicted with some type of disease that will dismantle you, or whatever the case is. All of that has happened. I mean, all of that is something that they believed in. They associated beliefs to uh, these specific pieces of stone or whatever they were made out of. They've associated that with him, and now they're seeing that everything that they believed in, it's not true. Because if it was true, what would happen? The gods would be in one piece, but the person now aiming this form of disrespect to them would not be in one piece. They should be in pieces. Okay, so what has happened now? But instead of their mind going towards this, they now are going in a different direction because they felt these need to be protected, and you're going to see that going forward. These things need to be protected, and who has now allowed these things to be the sanctity of these things to be violated in the way we are witnessing. So anyways, man fa'ala hadha bi alihatina, who did this with our gods? Innahu lamina dhalimin, indeed he is one of the wrongdoers, he's among the wrongdoers. In other words, they're openly saying this is an unacceptable practice, it's an unjustified practice, and since it's unjustified, it calls for action and drastic measures. What is that going to happen? So now the conversation is going on. قالوا سمعنا فتى. One, they said. So you can see the plural form of the verb being used, and that's just showing that this conversation is going on within a group of people. So they said, we heard of a young person, okay, young person, fatan, mentioning them, who is called Ibrahim. يقال له Ibrahim. So they've identified a suspect. Okay, Fatan. So it's a young guy. He's mentioning them in unadmirable ways. He's mentioning them with ridicule and mockery and sarcasm, things that we don't find pleasant. So if there's anyone that could be a suspect for this, it's got to be him. Okay, so now they're going to give the orders. Whoever is going to be in charge, they're going to say, قَالُوا فَأْتُوا بِهِ عَلَىٰ أَعْيُنِ النَّاسِ. Bring him forth to the eyes of the people. In other words, publicly, bring this individual forth. So what is happening now? They're not going to handle this behind the scenes. They want to make this a public event. The interrogation has got to be public, the trial has got to be public, and the sentencing has got to be public, and the execution of that sentence has also got to be public, so that the entire community knows that if you are going to do anything of this nature, this is going to be your fate. Okay, so سمعنا فتى يذكرهم يقال له إبراهيم قالوا فأتوا به على أعين الناس لعلهم يشهدون, so they can witness. We want everyone to watch this. This is something that needs to be publicized. Now, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is going to be brought, right? And they're going to start the interrogation. أَأَنْتَ فَعَلْتَ هَذَا بِآلِهَتِنَا. Did you do this to our gods? فَعَلْتَ هَذَا. Did you do this? بِآلِهَتِنَا, with our gods. Ibrahim. Oh, Ibrahim. Ya Ibrahim. Now, what I wanted to also take away from this is the practice of investigation, right? At least the one thing that you see here, even though these people are idolaters, they're people who don't believe in La ilaha illallah. But at least the one thing they're doing that definitely can be taken as a lesson is that before jumping on conclusions, they are carrying out an investigation. They are asking and giving a chance for a person to explain. And I wanted to basically mildly touch on this, because you and I know this is a huge issue in our community. It's a huge issue on social media. Okay, that the moment any form of an assertion is made, anything is forwarded to us, anything now is being directed to us, whether through WhatsApp or whether we see it on our feed on Facebook or whether we see it on Twitter or whether we are scrolling down Instagram, we see something that's eye-catching, and the eye-catching thing is that a particular allegation or a particular thing, you can say a particular assertion is being made about another individual, about another group of people, we for some reason accept it at face value. Many a times we will accept it at face value and forward it or like it or share it with another 100 people if we can. Okay, rather than us sitting back, looking at the information and investigating before we actually make a conclusion. This is such an important thing, especially nowadays when we're on social media and sharing of information is instantaneous. Okay, so what you and I need to do is the moment any form of information is coming in front of us, which is now potentially, um, it's impeding on a person's reputation. Okay, it's now giving them a bad name of a sort. We have one of two choices to make. Either we ignore it, which is basically the teachings that are given to us in Surah An-Nur, we ignore it, or what we do is if we want to engage with this information, then we investigate. Okay, and the best form of investigation is to go to the source if that is possible. And in this day and age, pretty much all sources are accessible. Okay, 9 times out of 10, your sources are accessible. So if there's someone in your friend circle, something is being said about them, then what you need to do is go and ask. I have been told this piece of information, just giving a hypothetical example. However, the way you want to frame it, the way you want to word it is completely up to you, but you will go to the source and ask that individual about the accuracy of this information before making any conclusion, let alone forwarding it to others. If you feel that that's not a necessity, you've already made your judgment and you've said, I know the guy, that has to be true. Guess what? In the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are reprehensible. Okay, this action of yours is reprehensible. You will be admonished as a result, and there will be consequences for this, because meddling with people's honor for no legitimate reason comes with heavy consequences. So if we really want to resolve the matter, the first thing, step number 1, is confirmation of information. And the way we're going to do that is by going to the source. So step 2, identify the source, the person that's being spoken about or the people that are being spoken about. We go to them, ask them, how accurate is this information and how you want to frame that in front of them so that that it doesn't cause or stir trouble. That's completely up to you. That's going to be left to your discretion. You will have to exercise your best judgment. After you've got confirmation, either it's false or it's true. If it's false, then what is going to be the result? Dismiss it. Okay. And the best thing to do is delete it if that's an option for you. And if it's not false, it's actually true, yourself is that or worsens the situation. When it comes to us as Muslims, we are muslihun. Okay, saying my internet connection has been disrupted, so it means I'll just have to backtrack a bit. So what we're asking here is that if the information is confirmed, yes, this is true, and it's negative information, the question I want to ask myself is, what can I do to help this situation? Because I have one of two options now. Either I worsen the situation, or I, better the situation. I improve the situation. Or a third option could be ignore it completely, walk away, and reserve it to yourself. If we have one of two active choices to make: be a muslih or be a mufsid. A muslih is one that's going to fix the situation. A mufsid is one that's going to now make the situation worse. Which one do we want to be? If we want to be a mufsid, we automatically go under the hatred of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates mufsidun. And if we become a muslih, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the muslihun, the people who are going to rectify the situation. So what practical steps can I take to make this situation better? Again, that's going to be left at your judgment, because each case is going to be unique. Each case is going to have its different dynamics. You need to ask yourself, can I? And if I can, how can I? Okay, do I have the ability? So if I do have the ability, what's going to be the strategy? And then you're going to be a person that is truly a blessing for the community. Mark my words. That's when you'll be a blessing for the community. When you can make things better. Every person has their faults. Every person slips in life. Every person makes misjudgments in life. No person is immune, neither myself or yourselves, whoever it is that is watching or that will later watch this video. None of us are free of flaws. Each one of us have got our flaws. But when do we become better? When that helping hand is going to come and someone can hold our hand and take us to a higher platform, guide us. Sometimes, even if you know, you just need either someone to help you through, because knowledge many times is just not enough. We also need assistance. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, He's told us about taqwa, He's told us about patience, but then He's also told us to assist one another in the acts of righteousness and good. Okay? So one is the knowledge and one is the help to take the person to the next level. Okay? And that's what you and I want to become. We want to become muslihun, and that's the intention I'm asking you to make today. And this will go a long way. And remember, when it comes to society, we make society, right? Each one of us as an individual makes society by being grouped together. So we are as integral to society as anyone else. We start this new trend of islah, helping people, fixing the situation. Inshallah, this is going to send positive vibes across the board, and we will get the ajr for it. So at least that's something we can take away from this, that they at least put Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam on trial and gave him the opportunity to speak and clarify. And what we will walk away with is, how many times do we give people the opportunity to speak and clarify? So this is something we can, inshallah, take away. Now, let's get back to the incident. What happens here is Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is asked, okay, did you do this? Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is saying, Bal fa'alahu kabiruhum hadha. Actually, he's saying, rather, so qala, he said, Bal, rather, this chief of theirs, this big god of theirs did it. Okay, so Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is shifting the blame away from himself and basically putting it on the God that has been spared. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, this is part of his plan. It's to get them now to give attention to this. And this is public, right? So it's all working. It's all working according to his strategy. He didn't want this to be something that is going to be limited to just a group of people. Everyone is watching this. The message now is going to be as public as you can make it. Okay? So now he's got everyone's undivided attention. And now this is the opportunity for them to start thinking through the things that they're subscribing to. So here, he says, Kabiruhum hada, this chief of theirs, or this big god of theirs, he did it, fa'alahu. And if you want confirmation, fas'aluhum, okay? Fas'aluhum, ask them. And who's he pointing to? All the broken gods. In kanu yantiqun, if they speak. Okay? It's now basically Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam has put them on a crossroads. Okay? Because what has done? He's now being publicly interrogated if he had done this. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is shifting the attention. Listen, I'm not the God. They're the gods. I'm not the one that can benefit you. They can. So why don't you go there? Shift your attention there and engage your gods now. Why are you engaging me? Engage them. They're the ones that should give you direction. They're the ones that should give you guidance. They should be answering questions. They should be now benefiting you. This is the opportunity. Let's see what can happen. Okay? So we have a big God. Let's see how this could have played out. We have a big God that's got an axe around its neck. We have all of these small gods in pieces. Mind would tell you, well, this big God is the one that did it because he's got the weapon. Okay? He's the one and he's the only one standing. So that's what the mind is telling us. However, what we can do for verification, these gods that are in pieces, we can pick them up and ask them individually, did he do it? Did he do it? And they can probably give you some guidance on this, right? Now, finally, what is that? Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam has hit home. He smacked them right in the heart. Okay, he's got them now. He smacked them right there. And فَرَجَعُوا إِلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. They then turn to themselves. Now the contemplation begins. Now now Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam's words are being given attention. فَقَالُوا إِنَّكُمْ أَنْتُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. And this is what they're now saying to themselves, that you guys are wrongdoers. Seriously, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam's got a point. If they're truly gods, why this mess? And even if it's this mess, then why are we turning to him? Why can't they help us? Why can't they aid us in this investigation? Okay. So now, the point I want to make here is each and every single one of us are going to have moments, right? Without doubt, we're all going to have moments where we've got the opportunity to reflect, reconsider, and reroute ourselves in the life path that we have adopted. Each and every single one of us, those moments will come. And when those moments come, you've got one of two choices to make. Either I reform myself, or I just ignore this and stick to my old ways. That's the choice. And remember, this whole life is about choices. That's what we're going to be judged by on the day of judgment. We are going to be judged by the choices we made. We're going to be judged by the actions we resorted to. It's the only thing that's going to happen on the day of judgment. Okay? We're going to be judged for the choices we made. So now, if we consciously know that our life is not going in the right direction, and all of a sudden, we've been hit with this moment where we can reconsider, we can reconfigure our life. We can now reform and go in a different direction. And we choose to do so, then subhanAllah, it's going to be a win-win situation. But if we decide that, you know what, forget this, it's not for me, and we decide to not only stick to our old ways, but find ways to even advance more, it's only going to work to our detriment. That's all. Okay. So this is that moment. They've been struck with that moment of reflection, like that eureka. Okay, now, what do we do from here? They've got one of two choices. Choice number one, listen to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam and adopt what he's telling us to adopt. That's choice number one. Or choice number two, ignore what this kid is saying and let's go our own way. And not only that, take it to the next level. Okay, we'll go from 1.0 of idolatry to 2.0. Okay, so this is the moment. They're at this crossroads. You ask yourself, when you are at that crossroad, what do you do? My humble request is when those moments come, and this is, you can say, one of those moments as well, because we're seeing the reset button being pressed on life as we know it. Pretty much everyone has an idea that life is never going to be the same after this experience, right? There's going to be major alterations and major changes that are going to come, which we're going to have to adjust to. What that's going to look like, how that's going to transpire, what's going to manifest, it's really for us to see. It's yet to be seen. But will life be the same as you and I know it? Not necessarily, okay? So the reset button, as it's being pressed, we should press our reset button. The direction I have taken in life, is it a direction that's taking me to Allah? Is it a direction that's taking me to Allah's promised Jannah or not? You and I pretty much know, okay, from our heart, if we're doing something right or something inappropriate. And if it's not going in that direction, my humble request is, now is the time. Now is the time for us to move in that direction, known as a Sirat al-Mustaqim, that's taking us to Allah, that's taking us to Jannah. Now is that time, okay? And there's no better time, because we're pretty much in what I was telling my friends, forced monasticism. Okay, what was the whole purpose of monasticism? It was to renounce the world, go into isolation, and basically try and focus on how you align yourself with the task that has been given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then after you've aligned yourself, you go back into society and live life according to those guidelines. Now, one is that before we can take the excuse, we just don't have time. We're all busy. I would have made the same excuse. I've got this schedule, I've got that schedule, I've got this task. I just don't have time. I could have said that. Now, no one can really argue that. Okay. We can make the time. We definitely have the time on our hands. Okay, so what we do is take advantage of that time for the reconfiguration and for the resetting of our lives, and the direction, the path that we're going to adopt is the Sirat al-Mustaqim, the one that's going and taking us to Allah in every area of our lives, not just one area, every area of our lives. Okay, so now what has happened? ثُمَّ نُكِسُوا عَلَى رُؤُوسِهِمْ. ثُمَّ نُكِسُوا عَلَى رُؤُوسِهِمْ. Now these guys are going to turn heel. Okay, they're going to regress to their former thoughts. They've chosen that, no, we're not going to listen to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. We're going to stick to our culture. We're going to stick to our ancestral ways. We're going to stick to what makes us feel happy. We're going to stick to what makes me feel comfortable. Okay, because what makes me happy, what makes me content and satisfied in life is all that matters, no matter what a person says. Okay, I mean, I guess we can relate with that type of rhetoric that's normally said. It's my life, I can do whatever I want. It's who cares what everyone else says. Okay, so that's pretty much what they're resorting to. And now they're going to say, in a manner of admonishment, لَقَدْ عَلِمْتَ مَا هَؤُلَاءِ يَنْطِقُونَ. This is not an acknowledgement. This is admonishment. And this is where now what you've had to do, you've had to turn off the brain, seal the heart, and move forward. Because you know, at the end of the day, what you're saying and what you're resorting to doesn't have any substance behind it. So they say to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam in an admonishing fashion, لَقَدْ عَلِمْتَ. You definitely know. مَا هَؤُلَاءِ يَنْطِقُونَ. They don't talk. You know this. So why are you directing us to them? Why are you telling us to ask them when you know that they're voiceless, when you know that they don't have the power of speech? So instead of making this an opportunity of reflection, now they're just making this a point of admonishment. But why are you doing this? Okay. Many times one of the things that, because this is public and authorities are speaking, many times this also comes down to politics as well. All right. I'll just say this much. If a person really wants to safeguard their reputation, they want a good reputation. They want to be people that are outstanding in society. They are people that are healthy financially. Remember, the source of all of those things is Allah and Allah alone. Allah is solely responsible for protecting our reputation. Allah is solely responsible for our financial welfare. So therefore, there's no need to turn your back to the source and find alternative methods to accomplish this. There's no need for that. We turn to the actual source, and it's always going to be a win-win. And what do I mean by this? Remember, in this whole story, you and I don't even know the names of the authorities. We don't even know who's interrogating him. And guess what? We're not even interested. We're not even bothered. Okay? We can care less because those people are not important to us. But the person that's in the midst of all of this, trying to get them to understand and trying to basically get them to use reason, that's Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, whose reputation has been secured for centuries. You and I have never met Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. We have no connection with him. Yet his name is dear to our hearts. He is the ancestor of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is the benchmark of our religion. Our religion is based on the faith of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. He is the best friend of Allah. He's got accolade after accolade after accolade. And his name is one that none of us would want to see disrespected, if irrespective of whether we're Muslim, Jew, or Christian, because all of our roots go back to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, a name that has lived on the ages, a name that has stood the test of time. If that is not izzah, that is not respect, then I don't know what that is. Okay, so understand this. That is true izzah, and the only being that will make your name live and go through the ages is Allah and Allah alone, not our tactics. Okay, the tactics that come at the expense of being submissive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is a point that we want to reconsider, that if I'm doing things to maintain a particular persona, okay, that I've portrayed in front of people, or reputation, or I'm trying to secure my financial welfare by doing things which we know are incorrect. We know it's incorrect, but we still do it. Then we need to reconsider, because these tactics will be short-lived. They're not going to be lifelong. They're going to be short-lived. Now, what the time frame is going to be, Allah knows best, but it's not going to be permanent. So it's going to be short-lived. And like we can pretty much see right now with the economy in shambles in front of us, okay, it's short-lived. So that's what I would direct us all to do, inshallah, is to basically not avoid the truth because of political reasons. So they've admonished Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam has now got his chance, because as the interrogation is getting more heavy, people's attention is also getting more focused. They're, okay, what's going on here? We didn't expect this. Like, this whole conversation is completely, it's completely unexpected, not scripted in any shape or form. It's not something that they would know what the next answer would be. It's like, many times you see particular scenarios playing out and you can pretty much judge, okay, that's going to be the next thing that's going to be said or done, because you've seen it so many times played out. This is completely unique. They're oblivious and completely surprised and just, they're taken by surprise over this whole incident. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam has got the utmost undivided attention of everyone. Now he's going to ask, okay, I asked you to turn to them for an answer. Your response is they can't talk. If that is the case, أَفَتَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَنْفَعُكُمْ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَضُرُّكُمْ. So then why are you worshipping something other than Allah that can neither benefit you in any way nor harm you? Like, it makes no sense. Okay, like for a physical demonstration, it's like, take this pad right here. Okay, this pad. I want to now basically ask things. When I did this demonstration before, we'll do a quick demonstration again. That, look, if I'm going to hit it, it's not going to do anything to me. It can't defend itself. I can punch it all I want. It can't do anything to protect itself. And I'm going to ask, can you give me a car? Can you give me a house? Can you give me food? It's not going to deliver anything. Okay. So if Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is asking the same thing, then why? Why do you have to resort to this? Because it can neither do anything for you or there anything against you. Turn to the very Allah, the Allah that our ancestor Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam called to, the Allah that all those people that were on the ark had bowed down to. Turn to Him. He's the one that's solely responsible. And then Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, because it's a heated situation, he says, Uffil lakum. So uff is an expression of displeasure. Okay, there's no real translation to it. Uff is just an expression. So he's basically expressing this displeasure of his. So uff to you and what you worship other than Allah. Afala ta'qilun. Here's the key word. Afala ta'qilun. Are you not going to use your intelligence, your intellect, your reason? In simple words, are you not going to use your brains? Afala ta'qilun. Why? Why is this all? So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam has gone ahead. He's now gotten the undivided attention of people. Now they're not going to dismiss him. Right now, he's planted his message out effectively. Okay. Okay. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam has got his message out effectively. Now that the message is out effectively, what is going to be the consequence of this? So there's going to be definitely political consequences. And because this whole tafsir session was to be geared towards how the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam dealt with adversity, here is the first example of adversity and how they're going to turn to Allah and why they're going to do so, what the methodology is going to be, what the expectations are going to be. We're going to speak about that. But Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam got himself in a very, very bad situation. Right now, the immediate response is the entire community is against him. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam has pretty much got no standing left in society. They want to execute him. He has no one to turn to no one to turn to for help. Absolutely no one. His father is not there. His family is not there. No one in the community is there. He is absolutely stranded. Okay? He is absolutely stranded. All the odds, every single odd you can think of is against him. Helpless. Okay? This is a situation where people are against you, the authority is against you, okay? You're unpopular, you're unwanted, you've done something unpopular, like every negative thing you can think of. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is in that situation right now. That's not a mild situation to be in. It's easy for you and I to talk about this in the comfort of our chairs, but being in that situation where you are targeted, it's a very uncomfortable position. When we're just mildly targeted on social media, how comfortable or uncomfortable are we? This is the entire community targeting Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. So I want you to put yourself in that frame of mind. You are the target of every single person around. And they want to now do something that they've never done before. Burn you alive. Harriquhu, that's what we're going to say. Harriquhu, burn him, and aid your gods, assist your gods. Wansuru alihatakum in kuntum fa'ilin, if you're going to go through with this. Okay, so that's the situation Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is in. How is he going to deal with this? That's going to be answered, inshallah, in the next session. We'll focus on Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam's response to the situation, which is our focus. What is our response to these negative situations, or these unfavorable circumstances and unfavorable situations that we are now facing, whether on the financial level, emotional level, whether it's going to be on the psychological level, whatever. How do we deal with this? We need answers, we need direction, and that's what the Quran is giving us, inshallah. So it is 3:47. I did go a couple of minutes above my time. So I will conclude with this. We will see you guys here next week for this session, inshallah. But before we go, we're going to dedicate the last 15 minutes of our session to Q&A. So inshallah, if you do have any questions to put forth, by all means, feel free to do so. No questions? Okay, got something here. So it says there, what if the person is a fasiq and you to confirm if they did something? Okay, because they won't respond in truth. Okay. Um, what if the person is a fasiq and you to confirm if they did something? I think the question is a bit unclear. Okay, the person we're seeing them as a fasiq. What is it about the confirmation? Can you just clarify the question a bit more? But so inshallah, as this question is being clarified, we have, are we allowed to make dua for non-Muslims? Yes, when it comes to non-Muslims who are living, we definitely will make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them the best of both worlds by giving them iman and everything that comes as a result of iman. So yes, we definitely can make a dua for Muslims when they're alive. If they have passed away and they have now gone from this world in the state of not having iman, then there are clear restrictions against making dua for their welfare, because now basically they've passed away in this state. Whatever happens beyond that, that is now in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we already have this restriction imposed, like Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam making dua for his father after death until he was stopped from doing so. So anyways, yeah, so while they're alive, definitely. Once they have passed, then the Quran is not allowing that. So if a person did something, you go to the source and ask them if they did it or not. Okay, what the truth behind it is, but they can lie to you. It's fine. And then if they lie to you, that's fine. We were just going to go ahead and place our judgment based on the information that they have given us and settle with that, right? At the end of the day, we want to ask ourselves, what is it that we want to achieve? What is it that we want to accomplish? Do we want to find ways to defame this individual? And if we do, then what is the benefit in it for us? That's the first thing. What is the benefit in it for us? And so if this individual goes ahead and says that, no, I'm not done, I have not done this, or whatever is being said about me is not true, then we settle with that. Alhamdulillah. It's no different than when a person says, La ilaha illallah. Okay? What is the Prophet ﷺ told us? That if they go ahead and say that, then they have gone ahead and they have secured their lives and their honor and their wealth. And then he says something very interesting after that. وَحِسَابُهُمْ عَلَى اللَّهِ وَحِسَابُهُمْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. Their account is with Allah. We're not in a position to go and judge, their sincerity or how genuine they are and whatnot. That's not what we are commissioned to do. Okay, so if they said it, no, it's not true, we'll suffice with that. And that's it. What would be the motive to go to gauge further? We need to ask ourselves, inshallah, what the motive is and what the benefit is behind that.
We have a question in the chat as well.
Um, how to deal with a person who repeatedly does not keep promises and ask for your help again and again? Well, it's very easy. Then we just avoid the individual. It's simple as that. We have no obligation, right? If a person does not want to keep their word, then all we need to do is cease dealings with that person. That doesn't mean we have to cease relationships. Remember, these are two different things. We can maintain a relationship, but there's no need for us to, then we basically are going to limit that relationship, right? We're on good terms, we have clean hearts, but we are reluctant to do any dealings of any nature because of this problem of not coming through with your word. Okay, so we can limit it. There's no need for us to go forth and keep on providing whatever assistance is being asked for us when the words that we have committed to are not being followed through with by the other party. Okay. Any other questions? So what is the limit to amount of precautions you can take in this situation? For example, washing, disinfecting your groceries, doing your due diligence, or can it be avoided? Well, we always turn to the experts of the field, right? We always turn to the experts of the field. And based on the advice that they have given, we adopt it because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given people expertise in every area of life. So we identify those experts. Once we've identified the experts of a particular field, their recommendations we will adopt. Okay, and remember, they're recommendations. So upon the adoption of their recommendations, this is where we are now we're exercising the asbab. Okay, we're exercising the asbab, we're exercising the means. But in terms of our iman, we know at the end of the day that benefit and harm only comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But He has created the means for use. Okay, as we had said a couple of sessions ago, He has created whatever is in the sky and the earth to serve us, to benefit us. So they're there for using. So we will use them in that capacity, whatever is being told of us. So putting on a mask, putting on gloves, washing our hands and so forth, these are not things which are impeding on our iman. But if we feel that this is what's going to protect us, this is the sole protector of us against COVID-19, then that's an iman issue. Okay, that's an issue that needs to be addressed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the sole protector, but reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it does not divorce us from adopting the means. Adopt the means, then put our reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we're to get it at that time, then we get it. This is the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we exercise patience and do the treatment that is now being made available. And if we don't get it, alhamdulillah, we didn't get it because Allah protected us. Okay. Okay, so it makes sense. Okay. We have 5 minutes left. Any other questions, inshallah? How do we perform Salat al-Tasbih? Okay, well, there's two methodologies. I would just direct you to the sources, right? There's one methodology that has been identified in Jami' Tirmidhi, and another has been identified in Sunan Abi Dawud. And there's mild variances in the methodology. Both are valid. You don't have to feel that one is incorrect and one is correct. Both are valid. So what I would do is direct you to those two sources. And on a practical level, if we don't have access to those sources, you can go to sunnah.com. You can type this down, sunnah.com, sunnah.com, right? And then just go in the search, and you can write Salatul Tasbih, or you have the entire Jami' Tirmidhi and Sunan Abi Dawud available to you there. So you can go to the respective chapter and you can read up all the details, inshallah. But it's pretty much it's in those two sources. Okay. Okay, inshallah. So we will, inshallah, suffice with this. Jazakallah khair for being here with us. And inshallah, we look forward to being with you next Sunday. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.